Hi viewers, welcome to MouShauk. Today I will be discussing uh, the third part of the digestive system. That is, today we will discuss the salivary glands, then the yes, uh, the processes in which the food is swallowed from the mouth to the stomach. Okay. So then we will also discuss the stomach part, okay, and also the small intestine part, some part of the small intestine. Okay? So let us start with. Before I start, I will request you to please to subscribe my channel if you have not subscribed yet, and if you are a new viewer to my channel. Okay, and if you are liking the videos, press the like button, share with your friends so that they can also be benefited from these videos, and do meditate before you start your day. Okay, so we will also start with a short meditation, and for that, let us concentrate on the point of light. Okay. That light is flowing in you, reaching your head, forehead, just between your eyebrows, feeling very energetic. Different is reaching, moving as if you are flowing at the point of light. You also a point of light, flowing with the other point of light. If you are a bright star, the feeling energetic, the feeling powerful, the feeling charged, the feeling as if your breath, your whole body is becoming healthy, enthusiastic, and powerful. You can solve whatever problems that comes in your way. Again, powerful, you're feeling with the beginning of doing best to your plans and works, whatever you do. And so we know that we have three sets of salivary glands. Okay, we know that. That is, we have sublingual just below the tongue, submandibular just below the mandible, lower jaw, is known as mandible. Just below the mandible, we have the submandibular and submaxillary, just behind the ear. Okay. So three sets of salivary glands we have. Then uh, these secrete somewhat some uh, juices. Okay, some juices, some enzymes it has. These juices have, and they help in uh, digestion process in the mouth only. The digestion part starts from the mouth. So from the mouth only the enzymes start secreting. Inside the mouth only the enzymes come and mix with the food, okay, which we eat. That is with the saliva, it will mix and uh, these juices, salivary glands will secrete the juices, that those juices will mix up with the food and change the food into what? Into a bowl. Okay, ball-like substance that is changed into, and that is known as bolus. Okay. Now, the ducts from each gland, they transport the secreted saliva into the mouth in very small quantities at all times. Okay. Even the sight, the smell, just a pot of tasty food, okay, that also increases the secretion of the saliva and your mouth waters. Okay. Then we come to saliva. Okay, the salivary glands, they have secreted the juices, that is the saliva. So what is saliva? Saliva is very light, acidic in nature. Okay, its pH is 6.8. It's a fluid which is very light and slightly acidic. It's 6.8, and it contains about what? 99% of water. That it has salt, it has mucus, and an enzyme which is known as salivary amylase, or we can call it tyalin, T-T-Y-A-L-I-N. Please mind the spelling. Okay, it starts with T, but it's silent. Okay, so this saliva contains a maximum amount of water, 99% of water. Some salts are there, the mucus is there, and also an enzyme which is known as tyalin, or you can say salivary amide. Okay. Now, what is its function? Saliva function. Okay, it moistens and lubricates the inner lining of the moral cavity. Okay, so the mouth cavity is moistened, then the lubricates the cavity also. The surface of the tongue also is moistened and lubricated so that we can speak and even swallow the food. Then see, but sometimes when we have some dry mouth, no, the mouth becomes dry. Then it's very difficult to speak, and even you cannot swallow the food. So this saliva, what does it do? It it moistens and lubricates the inner lining of the mouth cavity and also the tongue, surface of the tongue. Okay. Then it also helps in swallowing as it becomes moist and lubricating. So the food can be easily swallowed. So this moistening and lubricating the food also helps in the swallowing process. Okay. The saliva acts as solvent. How? By dissolving some food particles, which thereby stimulating the taste buds of the tongue. So what happens? Some food particles are dissolved in the saliva, which helps in activating or stimulating the taste buds of the tongue, so that you can taste the food. Okay. Then helping food particles to stick together, forming the bowl. So saliva, what does it do? As it is slightly sticky, it will help the this one food particles to stick together, forming a ball-like substance which is known as bone. Okay, so that it can be swallowed as a mass, not in bits, but it's swallowed as a mass. Okay, helping in starch digestion with the help of enzyme tyalin or the salivary amylase that converts starch into lactose. Okay, so saliva also, as it contains tyalin or salivary amylase, so it will convert starch into maltose and it helps in starch digestion. So what will happen? What is the digestion process starts with the mouth. In the mouth itself, from the beginning of the alimentary canal, the almost from the beginning of the alimentary canal, the digestion starts. Okay, so digestion of carbohydrates starts in the mouth, and that is true with the help of tyalin or salivary amide. So you can see the starch will change into maltose by the action of saliva, which contains tyalin, that is salivary amide. And maltose is what? Maltose is the disaccharide and starch is the polysaccharide. Okay. Now, it also helps in cleaning the mouth. The saliva also helps in cleaning the mouth and tending to destroy the germs that were penetrating the teeth. So, some germs which penetrates in the teeth and that will can cause tooth decay. So, it will help in destroying those germs, and also it cleans the mouth. After having food, no, you move your tongue around the mouth. Okay, that also, if there is a saliva inside the mouth, on the tongue, that will clear the mouth, clean the mouth. Okay, then aiding in maintenance of water balance in the body. Also, it helps in maintaining all the water balance in the body. Okay, as it contains 99% of water, so it will also help to maintain the water balance. Okay, now swallowing and peristalsis. Now we need to swallow the food. Okay? We know that we have to swallow the food after the food is being chewed and grinded and mixed with saliva, and it changes to bolus. Then the food has to be swallowed. That is, it has to go into the stomach through the esophagus. Okay? So what is swallowing? Swallowing is pushing the bolus into the esophagus through the pharynx. Okay? Through the pharynx. And what is pharynx? Pharynx is a portion of the alimentary canal after the mouth and before the esophagus. So between the mouth and the esophagus lies the pharynx. Okay? Through the pharynx, the bolus is pushed into the esophagus. That is swallowing. Okay, that process is swallowing. In swallowing, what happens? There are some steps. Now the tongue presses upward and back against the palate. So the tongue will be pressing upward into the palate and back, up and back. Okay, so tongue will move in this way. Tongue will move up and back. Not tongue will move. Tongue will press up and back. Okay. Then the bolus will be forced into the pharynx. So it will push the bolus into the pharynx. Okay. The soft palate now closes the opening between the throat and the nasal passage. That is glottis. Okay. So not glosses. This pharynx, it will move into the pharynx and the passage between the nasal passage and the throat. Nasal passage moves to trachea, to the pharynx, and the food from the mouth to the esophagus through the pharynx. Pharynx is both the opening for wind. For the air and also for the food. Okay, so the soft palate will close the opening between the pharynx and the between the throat and the nasal passage. Okay, now the larynx located at the entrance of the windpipe is pulled upward. Now, when this passage gets closed, that is the throat and the nasal passage, the passage between the throat and the nasal passage, when it gets closed, the larynx, which is at the opening of the windpipe, that is pulled upward to bring close to the back of the tongue. Okay, to the back of the tongue, the passage, the entrance of the windpipe, that is closed. Okay, now the epiglottis closes its opening. Okay, so epiglottis, the larynx is pushed up, and now the epiglottis will close the opening. That is, this opening is known as glottis, where the epiglottis covers it. Okay, epi means above. So above the glottis, there's a membrane-like substance. So that will structure, that is, it will close the glottis. Okay, so that it will open the glottis. Okay, it will close now. It will open the glottis. Okay, no, sorry. It closes its opening. Sorry, it will close its opening. Okay, so the food will pass into the esophagus. So food will pass into the esophagus. Okay. Now this way the food is swallowed. So first, what will happen? The tongue will move, press upward and backward. The bolus will be forced to the pharynx. The soft palate will close the opening between the throat and the nasal passage. Then the larynx, which is located at the entrance of the windpipe, that is pulled upward to bring to the close of the tongue, to the back of the tongue. Then the epiglottis closes the opening, and the food will pass into the esophagus. I'll show you the picture. Okay, see, this happens. This is the air passage, nasal cavity, nasal passage. Okay, this air passage is passed in this, and the food pipe is in front. Okay, the trachea is in front, and food pipe is at the back. Okay? So air will enter from this, and it will pass through the trachea. This is the front one is the trachea, and the backward, I mean the pipe which is back of the trachea is behind the trachea. That is known as what? That is known as elementary canal or esophagus. You can say here before the food pipe. Okay? Now, this is the upper jaw. This is the lower jaw, and this is the tongue. Okay, the three salivary glands we have. 1, 2, and another is back of the ear, but here it is not shown, so it will be at the back of the ear. Okay. Now, this tongue will be, when the food is getting inside, the tongue will move upward and backward. Okay, pushing the bolus will be here, that will be pushed into the pharynx. Okay, now what will happen? The larynx, which is, the passage, the nasal passage, this nasal passage is closed than the throat. Nasal passage and the throat will be closed. Okay, so that the air, so that the food does not enter into this food pipe. The trachea, windpipe. The food does not enter into the windpipe. Okay, it will pass into the esophagus. So for that reason, epiglottis will close the glottis. Okay, epiglottis will close the glottis, and the food will just automatically pass into the. Okay, now the tongue is there. It will mix the food, forming the bolus. Okay, so see here, the epiglottis is closed, and this epiglottis is covering the glottis. It is, this windpipe is closed. Okay, the larynx is moved up. Okay, and the food passes from the mouth via the pharynx into the food pipe. Okay, this is known as swallowing. Now we come to peristalsis. What is peristalsis? Peristalsis is the type of movement of the food inside the food pipe, the whole food pipe. This peristalsis movement takes place where there is a narrow portion, especially in the esophagus region. This peristalsis movement is there, and also in the intestine. Okay. Now, what is this peristaltic movement? There will be a wave of constriction and a wave of relaxation. Constriction and relaxation. Constriction and relaxation. Like this, it will move up and down, up and down. Okay, it will. There will be a depression inside the food pipe, and again it will relax. Okay, so this is how the picture shows. Like this, see. When there is a wave of constriction, the food pipe depressed, there is depression in the food pipe, and the bolus passes into the next portion. There is a swelling. Like that, it will alternately continue till it reaches its phase. Okay. Now, what happens if the food goes in the wrong way? What happens if the food goes in the wrong way? That is, it should move downward. We know the bolus should move downward. Okay, so peristalsis is what? It's a wave of constriction that is caused by the circular muscles of the gut pushing the food along the pipe. Okay, as the wave passes, the circular muscles relax. This movement is assisted by mucus secreted by all the regions of the gut, which lubricates the food, making it slide, so that it can easily move down the food pipe. Okay, now what happens if the food does go in the wrong way? That is, it moves upward. It should go downward. So if it moves upward, that will be anti-peristalsis. Okay, anti-peristalsis. Peristalsis is moving downward, wave of constriction and relaxation. But if it moves upward, there will be upward movement of constriction and relaxation. Okay, and that forms what? Vomiting tendency. If you will be throwing your food out of the mouth, okay, due to some acidity, some disease, some action of medicine, okay, then it can come out like that. Okay. Now we come to the next portion of the food bite, that is the stomach. Okay. The stomach is what? It's an elastic bag just below the diaphragm, which can hold 2 to 3 liters of food in an average adult. So it can hold about 2 to 3 liters of food in an average adult. Why does it hold it? Because during that time, when it is holding the food, that time the food mixes with the what? It mixes with HCl acid. Okay? Acid, it mixes with the acid, churns the food, gastric juice, that is. Gastric juice consists of HCl acid, okay? Hydrochloric acid, okay? Secreted by the inner lining of the stomach. Okay, it forms what? It forms a chyme. Okay, now what's it? First, when it enters the stomach, when from the esophagus the food enters the stomach, it has to pass a bunch of circular muscles, a bundle of circular muscles, which is known as sphincter. Okay, and the opening of the esophagus into the stomach has cardiac sphincter, which does not allow the food from the stomach to go back to esophagus. Okay, and also that is regurgitation or the antiperistalsis does not allow it. Okay, okay, and then it stays inside the stomach for some, for certain time till it gets mixed. Gastric juice mixes with it properly, and the food is thoroughly churned up, making it what? Making it into chyme. Okay. Now, when it is mixed with HCl acid, okay, when it is mixed with HCl, then what happens? It will go through the pyrolus into the small intestine, first part of the small intestine, that is the duodenum. Okay. Now, this one, after mixing with the intestine, after mixing with the, sorry, it is not here. It's not called chyme. It's when it is mixes with intestinal juice. Okay, that time it is known as chyme. Okay. So here it mixes with the, in the stomach, it is mixes with the gastric juice, and this food is now churned thoroughly, and then it passes through the pyrolus. What is pyrolus? Pyrolus is the opening of the stomach into the duodenum, into this first part of the small intestine, that is the duodenum. And there is also a bunch of circular muscles, which is known as pyrolus sphincter. Okay. This will prevent the food from flowing into the duodenum till it is thoroughly mixed with HCl. And also, it will not allow the food from the duodenum to move into the stomach. Okay, backward flow. Then, when vomiting takes, or the stomach is overloaded or disturbed, then what happens? When the food is staying inside the stomach, then although the cardiac sphincter opens and antiperistalsis causes the food to come out through the mouth. Okay? The food stays here about 3 hours. So inside the stomach, the food stays about 3 hours, mixing over. See, it is also in here. It is also known as chyme. So it is HCl. When it is mixing up with HCl, it is known as chyme. The bolus changes to chyme after mixing with HCl. Okay. And after mixing that, the pyrolus opens and the chyme will move into the small intestine little by little. So the pyrolus will also open at intervals, not thoroughly. It is opened like the open door, and the whole of the chyme will pass into the small intestine. No, okay, it will pass little by little. The chyme will pass little by little. Okay, now the gastric juice by secreted by the inner lining of the stomach. It is colorless and highly acidic liquid. It contains water, some salt, HCl, and pepsin enzyme. Okay. Now, HCl serves two functions. One, it is kills the germs which may have entered along with the food. Okay, it will kill the germ which may have entered inside with the food, and also it will activate the pepsin to act on protein. So what happens? The gastric juice has two things, HCl and pepsin. Major two things. Water is also there, salts are also there, but two major things are there inside the gastric juice. That is the component of gastric juice. That is HCl, that is hydrochloric acid, and pepsin, which is an enzyme. This pepsin is secreted first as pepsinogen, which gets converted into pepsin or activated pepsin by the action of hydrochloric acid. Okay. Now this pepsinogen will change into pepsin by HCl and digest the protein. This will digest protein. About 20% of the digestion of proteins takes place into, and it changes into peptides. Okay, so pepsinogen, inactive pepsinogen will change into pepsin, active pepsin by hydrochloric acid, and it will act on proteins to form peptides. Even prorenin is also an inactive form, which is also secreted by the this inner lining of the stomach, which also gets converted to renin, active renin by HCl. This renin acts on casein, which is a milk protein, soluble form of milk protein, and it changes to paracasein. It's a peptide which is insoluble in nature. This is also a peptide which is insoluble in nature. Okay. Now we come to the small intestine. So after the chyme has been thoroughly mixed up with the HCl and pepsin, that is protein digestion has started. Okay, the protein has converted to peptides. The chyme will now move into the small intestine, first part of the small intestine through the pylorus, after opening of the pyloric sphincter. Okay, so this small intestine is a long tube, 7 meters long and 2.5 centimeter wide. Okay, but this much length, 7 meter long, okay, this much length of the small intestine, we cannot understand because it remains coiled and folded in the abdomen. Okay, why this is being coiled and folded? Because this small intestine helps in absorption of the food inside the body, inside the cells. Okay, so for that reason, to increase the surface area of the absorption, this tube, this small intestine, remains coiled and folded in the abdomen. We will come to the adaptations also of the small intestine, inner lining of the small intestine. Okay? 3 subregions of the small intestine we know, that is duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. First part is duodenum, second part, the middle part is jejunum, and the third part is the ileum. Ileum is the main absorption center of the small intestine. Okay. Now the inner lining, that's why inner lining of the ileum has many finger-like projections, tiny finger-like projections, which are known as villi, or singular it can be called as villus. Okay, it's named as villus. Okay, so these finger-like projections increase the surface area of the ileum much far. Okay, that's why main absorption takes place in the small intestine. Okay, this enormously increased the inner surface area of the intestine nearly about 8 times that of the outer body surface. which facilitates absorption of the digestive food. Okay? Between the villi, see two villi, two finger-like projections are there. See this one, these two are the villi. Okay, in between the villi, there are small holes. Okay? There are small holes which secrete intestinal juice. Okay, these intestinal juice comes out from these holes, but inside this holes, below this holes, lies the glandular cells. Okay, which is poured into the lumen of the intestine. Each villus is covered by a single-celled thick epithelial layer. Okay. So these glandular cells, they secrete intestinal juice, which is poured into the lumen of the intestine. Okay, lumen means the pipe region of the intestine. Into that empty space, the cavity of the intestine, this glandular cells, they secrete this intestinal juice from the small holes into the lumen of the intestine, so that the food gets absorbed into the intestine. Okay, in the walls of the intestine. Now, each villus is covered by single-celled thick epithelial layer. Okay, each villus is covered by a single thick epithelial layer, and into this inside the villus there are an artery, a vein, an interconnected blood capillary, that is the capillary which connects artery into the vein, to the veins. So there will be interconnected blood capillaries and also a lymph vessel, which is known as lacteal inside the vein. Okay, I'll show the villus picture in the next video. Okay, so in the small intestine, both digestion and absorption takes place. So digestion takes place in the first part of the small intestine, and in the second part, that is inside the ileum, there will be what? Absorption. Main is absorption. Digestion also takes place, but main is absorption. So along with the intestinal juice, two more digestive juices are poured inside the small intestine, especially into the first part of the small intestine, that is the duodenum. One is bile, another is pancreatic juice. So we will discuss these two also in the next video. Okay. Now, adaptation of the ileum for absorption. Okay. So what is the adaptation of the ileum for absorption? One is the ileum is very long, so surface area is more. Then large number of finger-like projections villi are present to increase the surface area more. Then single-celled epithelium is there. Very thin layer of epithelium so that the food can easily be absorbed. Then narrow and slow movement of the food inside the ileum so that absorption can take place. So this much for today. If you have any doubts, please write in the comment box. You can write in my email ID, that is kasturi74@gmail.com. And if you're liking the video, press the like button, share with your friends so that they can also be benefited from these videos, and to meditate before you start your day. Okay, that will increase your concentration, memory power, and interest in your work. Okay, more important that, so that you can get good marks, okay, and appreciation. Okay. So till then, goodbye and thank you.